Hormuz, this news is coming from India's largest car maker in the country. Is this end of the road for diesel cars now?
Well, I think it's a strong message that it's going to be difficult to make affordable diesels going in the future. I think that message is very clear. So diesel engines in the lower segments, the 1.3 Fiat diesel that's being discontinued for sure. They are not going to give a diesel offering in the lower cars, in the smaller cars at all. I think this is actually a global trend which we've seen, and the reason is very simple: is that the emission standards moving forward are pushing up the cost of diesel so much that the price differential between petrol and diesel really questions the feasibility of having a diesel in the market. So I think that is the main message. They typically would not want to leave any segment vacant or any stone unturned simply because they don't want competition to get in there. But I think clearly, Maruti also, with a strong eye on profitability, on cost control, has taken a call that there's no point in making cars at a loss just to be in a segment, which is what a lot of global OEMs do.
Maruti has a mass market brand selling about 50% of the total Indian cars. It is quite a corollary to what Maruti mass launches have been. I mean, think about what the mass launches have been versus EV and hybrids.
Absolutely not. Electric cars are far from affordable. I mean, to be honest, they just look good on PowerPoint presentations and people talking about them in seminars. They're a long way away from reality, and I think, in a way, to me, honestly, it's really tragic that who's going to suffer the most is the customer, because I think the way diesel has been demonized, the zero tolerance for diesel, even clean diesels, has actually killed them. Because from a CO2 perspective, they're probably the solution in the ultimate move to electric. So in this transition period, diesels actually play a very important role. What's going to happen is that customers are not going to have an equivalent alternative of a power plant which is of a low running cost. They are going to be impacted by higher fuel consumption of petrol cars, higher costs of maybe hybrids. So frankly, I think the biggest loser in this is the customer. Now, people will say, it's good for the environment and all. But I think, as I said, the two main bogies of diesel have been taken care of, which is NOx and particulates. Especially when you move to BS6E or RDE, they actually become non-issues. And from a CO2 perspective, it's probably the best fuel right now when you ultimately going electric. So frankly, it's actually, to me, a tragedy that this is happening. Because unfortunately, it's been victimized, diesel, and but I think it's too late. The bus has already left, so I think this is how it is, and there's no real alternative for this, to be honest. So I think you will see that running costs for people is going to go up. There's another big impact also is CO2 targets which are coming in, which again were best met by diesel, but now to meet those targets, you'll have to be investing in much more expensive technology, which the customer will have to bear.
Right. Hormazd, so what according to you is going to be the impact on others like, let's say, an M&M that relies heavily on diesel models and is the fulcrum of its business, or for that matter, even a Toyota or a Tata Motors?
Absolutely. There's a big opportunity for other car makers because Mahindra is invested in diesel. Tata, we know, is going to go BS6 with their 1.5. Honda is doing the same. Hyundai is launching a 1.5 diesel. So which leads me to think that Maruti may have stopped making diesel temporarily, or they will stop making diesel temporarily from April 1. But I don't think they'll give up the game completely because, look, they've invested about 1,000 crores or over 1,000 crores in this all-new engine, which I've driven, and actually it's a really good engine, very, very silent. I was shocked by how refined it was. And are they going to throw away that investment after just 1 year? I mean, the engine is just launched, and they're going to have to stop it in April. What I feel is that, because of the lack of bandwidth, they've not been able to make the engine BS6 ready in time for the deadline. So there will be a temporary suspension of that engine, and probably they'll, let's say launch it in other models. Because don't forget, Maruti is going to be launching a range of SUVs as well. They've got the Brezza, which is a bestseller, and Brezza is entirely diesel right now, but it's getting a 1.5 petrol. So they can't afford not to be in the diesel game. I think they will figure out a way to make the economics work, because that's the reason for the discontinuation of diesel primarily, that just the costs are too high. But I don't think Maruti is has given up completely on diesel. I see it coming back with the 1.5 on the larger cars. So the smaller cars, it will be gone there. They'll be all petrol. But cars like the Ciaz, the Ertiga, the Brezza, a future SUV, a Creta size SUV, which is above the Brezza, which is also in the works, which might be shared with Toyota, that will come. Of course, you need the volumes to also make it work. So they'll be discussing with Toyota, probably sharing this engine, because Toyota too is discontinuing their 1.4 diesel. So that will give it some advantage of volumes. So, net, I think, yes, they're going to stop by April 1, 2020. The Fiat is gone for good. But the 1.5, I think it will make a comeback in Maruti's larger range of cars.